I stand before the executive board of Moretti Luxury Fashions, my heart pounding against my ribs. The sketches from my youth line collection rest in my hands, vibrant and alive against the austere backdrop of the boardroom. My father, Giuseppe, watches me from the head of the polished mahogany table, his gaze cool and assessing. Not a father's gaze, a businessman's calculation. As you can see, I continue, gesturing to the color swatches and fabric samples arrayed before them. This collection speaks to the modern young woman while maintaining the Moretti standard of elegance. The fabrics are sustainable, the silhouettes both flattering and comfortable. My voice rings clear in the hushed room, my crimson blouse a splash of defiance among the sea of charcoal and black suits. On the opposite side of the table, my brothers exchange glances. Marco's mouth twitches with that familiar smirk, while Antonio pretends to study his notes. I've seen this choreography before, but today feels different. Today, I've poured 6 months of work into these designs. I finished presenting the projected sales figures and market research, concluding with a confident smile. Questions. The silence stretches, uncomfortable and telling. 8 men in identical suits staring at my work without expression. The air conditioning hums overhead, a monotonous counterpoint to my racing pulse. My father taps his pen against the table once, twice. Interesting ideas, Clara. He waves his hand dismissively, the heavy gold ring on his finger catching the light. Perhaps too avant-garde for our clientele. The words land like a slap. Too avant-garde. The same designs he praised in private last month when I sought his feedback. I open my mouth to respond, but Marco stands, smoothly inserting himself into the momentary gap. If I may, he says, pulling out a leather portfolio. Our team has been working on a youth-oriented concept as well. Our team. The words knock the air from my lungs as Marco unveils his presentation. My presentation. My concepts, my color palettes, even the sustainable fabric initiative I'd researched for months all repackaged with minimal changes. Bold but accessible, announces the board chairman, nodding approvingly. Exactly what the market needs, agrees another executive. Brilliant work, Marco, my father concludes, his face softening with pride. I stand frozen, watching my ideas stolen in real time, stripped of my fingerprints and handed to my brother like a gift. The room tilts slightly, and I grip the edge of the table to steady myself. Not here. I won't break here. The presentation, I say, my voice surprisingly steady. When did you prepare it? Marco doesn't even glance in my direction. We've been developing this concept for some time. Right, father? Giuseppe nods, avoiding my eyes. Marco's team has been quite thorough. Marco's team, not me. Working nights in the studio until my fingers cramped around my pencils. Not me. Missing weekends with my daughters to perfect these sketches. Not me, who'd built the youth demographic research from nothing. The memory surfaces like a bruise. Me at 23, fresh from design school, hunched over my drawing table in the back corner of the studio. My father standing over me, his hand warm on my shoulder. One day, Clara, all this will be yours to lead. You have the vision none of my boys possess. One day. Always one day. The meeting concludes with handshakes and backslaps for Marco. I gather my original sketches, now redundant, and slip them into my portfolio. 10 years of this pattern. My innovations driving record profits while my name remains buried in small print. The rising star of Moretti Fashions whose light illuminates everyone but herself. The boardroom empties until only my father remains, reviewing notes at the table's head. A word, I say, closing the door behind the last departing executive. Giuseppe glances up, already frowning at the interruption. Make it quick, Clara. I have calls to return. That was my collection. My research, my designs, my vision. He sighs, removing his reading glasses. Business is business, Clara. Marco presented it better. Because you gave him my work. The accusation hangs between us, neither confirmed nor denied. Marco heads the development division, he says, as if this explains everything. Your cups were shared with his team for refinement, without my knowledge. I place my hands flat on the table, leaning forward. How many times will you do this? Promise me leadership while undermining me at every turn? Something hardens in his face. Fashion empires aren't built by women, Karamia. You create the art. Your brothers built the legacy. The words strike with surgical precision, confirming what I've suspected for years. There is no future here where I am valued, no timeline where my contributions rise above my gender. I straighten, a strange calm settling over me. With deliberate movements, I remove my company ID badge from around my neck. The plastic feels insignificant in my palm after all these years. Clara, my father warns, recognizing something in my expression. I place the badge on his desk, aligning it perfectly with the edge of his leather blotter. Clara, he repeats, sharper now. But I'm already walking away, the click of my heels on marble marking the death of a decade's illusion. The door closes behind me with quiet finality, separating the woman I was from the woman I must become. I meet Roberto Vasquez at a charity gala 3 weeks after walking out of Moretti Fashions. He approaches with champagne and a smile that reaches his eyes, his attention focused on me instead of the influential crowd surrounding us. You're Clara Moretti, he says, not a question, but a declaration. Your winter collection last year was brilliant. The bias, cut evening gowns, revolutionary. My glass pauses halfway to my lips. Fashion executives rarely remember the designer behind the label, especially when that designer stands in her father's shadow. You noticed. I notice everything worth seeing. His eyes, warm amber, hold mine without wavering. Roberto courts me with the precision of a military campaign. Flowers delivered to my apartment, dinner reservations at restaurants with month-long waiting lists. Handwritten notes tucked into the pocket of my coat. Each gesture carefully calibrated to make me feel seen after years of invisibility. When he proposes 6 months later, I say yes before he finishes asking. My new last name feels like freedom. My father doesn't attend the wedding. The first year passes in a blur of happiness. Roberto's executive position at a luxury hotel chain means social gatherings where I'm introduced as my brilliant wife, the designer. His pride in my talent feels like oxygen after years of suffocation. I sketch a resort wear collection for his company. My name appears on the label. Sophia arrives 10 months after our wedding, Isabella 16 months after that. I create a small studio in our Miami home where I balance motherhood with freelance design work. The change happens so gradually I almost miss it. That dress makes you look cheap, Roberto says one evening before a corporate dinner. His tone casual, almost bored. Wear the blue one. I change clothes without argument. The criticisms multiply. My sketches are amateur, my cooking bland, my friends beneath us. Each comment delivered with the same detached tone, as if noting the weather. The first time he grips my arm hard enough to bruise, we're arguing about a design commission I've accepted without his permission. You embarrass me, he says, voice low and controlled even as his fingers dig into my flesh. A Vasquez woman doesn't work like some common shop girl. I stare at the 5 purple marks on my skin that night, waiting until he sleeps before applying concealer. The next morning, I decline the commission with an apologetic email. Roberto brings home diamond earrings as a reward. The calculations begin. How many bruises equal financial security? How many insults balance against my daughter's having a father? The mathematics of survival. I master the art of anticipating his moods. I learn which topics ignite his temper, which clothes trigger his disapproval, which tone of voice soothes his ego. I shrink my existence to fit within the narrow boundaries of his approval. Until the Tuesday afternoon, I find Sophia pressed against the living room wall, eyes wide with fear as Roberto looms over her. What did I tell you about making noise during my calls? His finger jabs toward her chest, not touching but threatening. She's 5, I say, moving between them. She was playing. His face transforms, rage vanishing beneath a mask of paternal concern. I was just explaining. Don't. The word escapes before I can stop it. That night, Roberto sleeps deeply, thanks to the extra sleeping pill crushed into his bourbon. I move through our house like a ghost, gathering essentials in 3 small suitcases, birth certificates, medical records, the children's favorite stuffed animals, 4 outfits each, my portfolio and design tools. Mommy? Isabella blinks sleepily as I lift her from bed. Where are we going? On an adventure, I whisper, heart hammering as Roberto shifts in our bedroom down the hall. But we have to be very quiet. The Miami bus station at 3 a.m. smells of disinfectant and desperation. Sophia clutches my hand while Isabella sleeps against my shoulder. The fluorescent lights cast everyone in sickly yellow. My daughters and I wait 6 hours for the bus heading north, our suitcases forming a protective barrier around our bench. When we arrive in Fort Lauderdale, rain falls in sheets. We huddle beneath the station awning, Isabella crying from hunger, Sophia unnaturally silent. My financial calculation: hotel or food? Not enough for both. First day's always the hardest, says a voice beside me. The woman must be 80, her dark face mapped with wrinkles, gray hair pulled into a tight bun. She holds out half a sandwich wrapped in wax paper. For the little one, she says, "You look like you need a minute to think." I accept the food with shaking hands. Thank you. I'm Carmela. She nods toward a weathered apartment building visible across the street. Got a spare room if you need it, just until you get settled. I should refuse. Strange woman, strange city. But her eyes hold no pity, only practical assessment. Just until I find something. I agree. Carmela's spare room smells of mothballs and coffee. The girls fall asleep on the narrow bed while I stare out the window at rain-washed streets. For the first time in 18 months, I draw a full breath. 3 days later, Elaine from design school calls, responding to my desperate email. I can throw some freelance work your way, she says. Nothing glamorous. Department store catalogs, generic resort wear. Anything, I tell her. I can design anything. Carmela watches the girls while I sketch late into the night. Isabella and Sophia bloom in her kitchen, helping to roll Cuban pastries and learning Spanish phrases. Our temporary arrangement stretches into weeks, then months. Stay, Carmela says when I find enough money for a security deposit. The girls need stability. You need help. I need company. We move into the first floor apartment when it becomes vacant. I convert the second bedroom into a studio where I sketch by lamplight after the girls are asleep. My hands remember their purpose. My mind clears of fear. 3 years pass. 3 years of catalog designs and uncredited commercial work. 3 years of Carmela's wisdom and my daughter's resilience. 3 years without looking over my shoulder. Then my father calls. Clara, Giuseppe says, his voice aged since I last heard it. The company needs you. You need me or the company needs me. The distinction matters. A pause. Both. The youth line is failing. The board wants fresh direction. I close my eyes, remembering the boardroom where my ideas were stolen. The office where my contributions were erased. I have my own business now. An exaggeration of my freelance work, but the conviction is real. We can offer security. Benefits for the girls. Your name on the credits. His words touched the exact nerve he intended my children's future. Isabella needs braces. Sophia's school recommends testing for gifted programs. My freelance income barely covers rent and groceries. I'll think about it. That night, I watch my daughter sleeping. Sophia's dark lashes against her cheeks, Isabella's hand curled beneath her chin. They deserve more than this apartment. More than secondhand clothes. More than a mother perpetually exhausted from working through the night. But they also deserve more than a mother who surrenders her dignity for financial ease. My father's company represents everything I fled, both the false family loyalty and the pattern of using women's talent while denying their value. But it also represents opportunity, resources, a platform I could potentially use on my own terms. I make my decision while tracing Sophia's forehead with my fingertip. 1 week later, I step through the polished glass doors of Moretti Luxury Fashions, head high, portfolio clutched in my hand. Eyes follow my progress across the marble lobby. Whispers trail in my wake. Daddy's little girl came running back. Heard she was living in some dump. Guess independence didn't work out so well. My father waits in the atrium, cameras positioned to capture our reunion. His arms open wide as he approaches, his smile practiced for the press. "Welcome home, Clara," he says loudly enough for the photographers to hear. His embrace feels foreign against my body. I've forgotten how to play this role of dutiful daughter, but for Sophia and Isabella I can learn again. "The youth line needs your vision," he continues, guiding me toward the elevators. "Your unique perspective." I recognize the calculation in his eyes. My failure in the wider world serves his narrative, the prodigal daughter returning humbled and grateful. The business papers will frame this as Giuseppe Moretti's generosity, not Clara Moretti's talent. But I have made calculations of my own. The elevator doors close on the flashbulbs and whispers. I turn to face my father directly. "Let's be clear," I say quietly. "I'm here for my children's security, not for your approval, not anymore." Something flickers across his face, surprise. Perhaps respect before his businessman's mask returns. "Of course," he answers smoothly. "Business is business." The elevator rises, carrying us toward a future neither of us can fully predict. I've returned to the lion's den, but this time, I understand the rules of survival. The magazine cover gleams under the fluorescent lights of my office. My designs grace the model on the cover, the asymmetrical neckline, the sustainable fabric blend I fought to incorporate, the precise shade of coral that took 6 revisions to perfect. Everything except my name appears in the feature article about Moretti's revolutionary new direction. I trace my finger over the glossy page. 3 years back at my father's company, and this pattern remains unchanged. My designs transform the youth line. Sales climb. Fashion writers praise the innovation. Yet Marco stands at podiums accepting awards, while I sit in the back row, a nameless architect of his success. "Clara?" Elaine knocks at my door, her smile tight with worry. "They want you in the executive conference room." I straighten my burgundy blazer, slipping the magazine into my drawer. "Another emergency meeting about the fall collection?" "Your father called it. That's all I know." The hallway to the conference room stretches longer each time I walk it. Photographs of 3 generations of Moretti men line the walls. Not a single woman among them, despite my grandmother's legendary skill with needle and thread. The room falls silent when I enter. Board members adjust their ties. My brothers sit on either side of my father, a united front. On the projection screen, sales figures for my youth line fill a chart with upward trending arrows. "Ah, Clara." My father gestures to an empty chair, not beside him but across the table. We were discussing the remarkable success of the youth collection. 200% increase over projected earnings. I settle into the chair, crossing my legs at the ankle. The Miami retailers can't keep the summer pieces in stock. Antonio taps his pen against his teeth. Indeed, Marco's leadership has been exceptional. My hands remain folded in my lap, hiding white knuckles. Marco's leadership? The budget meeting. My father continues, ignoring my question. "We need to make adjustments for next quarter." The CFO clicks to the next slide. Red slashes cut through my department's budget. Design team reduced. Material allowances sliced by 30%. Marketing allocations transferred to menswear. "With respect," I say, my voice surprisingly steady. "You're cutting resources from your most profitable division." "Streamlining," corrects Marco, not looking up from his notes. "The board agrees the investment should shift to areas with growth potential." "My department has the highest growth." "The company's direction is set," my father interrupts. "Any further questions can be addressed privately." The meeting adjourns with handshakes all around. No one meets my eyes. Back in my office, I unlock my desk drawer, extracting a folder I've compiled over months. Inside, memos with my design concepts, timestamps showing submission dates, emails where I detailed innovations all later presented as Marco's work. Most damning, a directive from my father to the marketing department instructing them to credit the Moretti brothers for the new collection's vision. That evening, rain taps against my windshield as I drive to my father's estate. Sunday evening, sacred gardening time for Giuseppe Moretti, when he tends his prized roses regardless of weather. Some of my earliest memories involve holding a watering can in this garden, desperate for his rare smile of approval. I find him kneeling by his white roses, pruning shears in hand, rain jacket glistening with moisture. "Clara?" He frowns at my unexpected appearance. "Is something wrong with the girls?" Sophia and Isabella are fine. I move closer, sheltered by the gazebo that overlooks his garden. "We need to talk, Papa." His weathered face hardens, reading something in my expression. "Business discussions belong in the office." "Then consider this a family discussion." I open the folder, protected in a plastic sleeve against the rain. One by one, I place the documents on the stone bench between us. He doesn't look at them. What is this theatrical display? Evidence. 3 years of systematic erasure. My voice remains quiet, almost lost beneath the rainfall. Every concept I've created, reassigned. Every innovation stripped of my name. "You're being dramatic." He removes his gardening gloves one finger at a time. "Business isn't personal, Clara." "Isn't it? When you sign directives ensuring your daughter receives no credit for her work?" A flash of something guilt, perhaps, crosses his face before disappearing. "You've received generous compensation. The Moretti name benefits all of us. A name that will never include me in its legacy." Rain drips from the gazebo roof, marking seconds of silence. My father sighs, standing with a wince that betrays his aging joints. "I've been considering a title change for you. Associate Creative Director has a nice ring." The words land hollow, like stones dropping into still water. A meaningless title, while my work continues to enrich my brothers. No. The single word carries the weight of decades. That night, I stand in my childhood bedroom, now a guest room in my father's house where the girls and I have lived since my return to the company. Awards from design school line the walls, alongside competition ribbons and framed sketches from my early career. One by one, I remove them. Each leaves a lighter rectangle on the wallpaper, markers of aspirations now fully understood. Into a cardboard box they go, along with the framed photograph of me standing between my brothers at my graduation, my father's hand on Marco's shoulder. Morning finds me at the kitchen table, the resignation letter centered on Moretti letterhead. Sophia and Isabella enter in their school uniforms, immediately sensing something different in the air. "Mom?" Sophia asks, her 14-year-old intuition razor sharp. "What's happening?" I pour orange juice into their glasses, the routine motions at odds with the seismic shift beneath our lives. We're leaving Grandpa's house, and I'm leaving the company. Isabella's eyes widen, milk glass suspended halfway to her lips. "Where will we go?" "I've rented an apartment near your school." I reach across the table, taking each of their hands. "And we're going to build something of our own." 2 weeks later, I convert the apartment's spare room into a studio. Whiteboards line the walls, fabric swatches spread across a folding table. The bank loan officer's skeptical expression still burns in my memory. His dismissive glance at my business plan, his questions about male partners in my venture. But the loan came through. $5,000. Enough to start. Isabella's homework paper sits on my makeshift desk. My first independent design, sketched in the Marginsa blouse with architectural lines and practical hidden pockets, something a woman running her own life would wear. A knock at the door interrupts my revisions. "Delivery for Claire Moretti," calls the courier. I sign for the package, fingers trembling slightly as I open it. Inside, a simple white box holds my first order of business cards. I lift one, running my thumb across the embossed letters. "Clara Moretti Designs." Sophia peers over my shoulder, her fingers lightly touching the cards. They're beautiful, Mom. Yes, I whisper, placing one on the refrigerator with a magnet. They are. My sewing machine hums in the corner of our apartment, a midnight lullaby that keeps my daughters asleep while I work. My fingers guide crimson fabric beneath the needle, the final piece of my first independent collection. 5 designs, just 5. Not the dozens I created at Moretti, but these are mine alone. Mama? Sophia stands in the doorway, hair tousled from sleep. It's past midnight. I smile without stopping. Just finishing. Go back to bed, Karita. You said that 2 hours ago. She shuffles to my side, running her fingers along the finished garments hanging on the rack. A blazer with sculptural shoulders, slim trousers with hidden stretch panels, a reversible wrap dress, a silk blouse with convertible sleeves, and what will soon be a pencil skirt with a walking pleat. Professional pieces that transform. Like me. Will anyone buy them? Sophia asks, voicing my unspoken fear. I lift my foot from the pedal. We'll find out tomorrow. What do you mean you can't do less than 100 units? I press the phone tighter to my ear while sorting breakfast cereal for Isabella. I have the patterns finalized, the samples completed. The manufacturer cuts me off with practiced politeness. The 4th rejection this week. Isabella crunches her cereal, watching me over the bowl. Nobody wants to make your clothes? Not yet. I ruffle her hair. But they will. 3 calls later, I find a small factory owner willing to gamble on 25 pieces of each design. The cost eats most of my savings, but watching the first completed garments arrive feels like witnessing births. That night, Isabella and Sophia help me pack shipments at our kitchen table. Sophia carefully folds each piece in tissue paper, while Isabella places my handwritten thank you notes atop each one. Who buys clothes in boxes? Isabella asks, sealing another package. Women who deserve beautiful things delivered with care, I answer. When Valentina, owner of a small Miami boutique, calls to place a second order, the girls dance around the kitchen. Our first repeat customer. A beginning. The phone rings during dinner 3 weeks later. Marco's name flashes on the screen. Aren't you going to answer? Sophia asks. I take another bite of fish. No. Later, I listen to his voicemail. Playing dress up on your own now, Clara? Papa says it's cute you found a hobby to keep busy. Call if you need real work again. I delete it without response. At family dinner the following Sunday, the monthly obligation I maintain for my daughter's sake, and me father pats my hand. This little side project keeps you busy, yes? Good for you. The Moretti door remains open when you're ready to return to serious business. I butter my bread. How thoughtful. Antonio chuckles. Her little dress is in that beach shop. Very quaint. I don't defend myself. Don't mention the second boutique that placed an order yesterday. Don't reveal my plans for expansion. Let them believe what comforts them. Miss Moretti? The woman standing in my doorway clutches a magazine. I'm Judith Williams, buyer for Callaway's department stores. I glance at the messy apartment behind me, fabric swatches covering the sofa, order forms stacked on the coffee table, my makeshift studio consuming the dining room. I read about your designs here. She holds up a regional business magazine with a small feature about local entrepreneurs. My photo occupies a corner of page 17. May I see your collection? 2 hours later, she places an order for 300 pieces. Department store distribution. I maintain composure until she leaves, then collapse against the closed door. Girls, I call out. Come quick. Sophia and Isabella run from their bedroom. I wave the purchase order like a winning lottery ticket. What is it? Isabella asks. Our future. That night, we dance around the living room, jumping on furniture in celebration. For the first time since leaving Moretti, I feel certain we'll survive. Real women don't look like mannequins, I tell the photographer. I want models who actually rep my customers. He raises an eyebrow. You mean plus size? I mean women with actual lives. Lawyers, doctors, executives. Women with curves and angles and stories in their faces. My marketing campaign features professionals wearing my clothes in their actual workplaces. Not airbrushed fantasies, but attainable elegance. The comfort stretch fabric innovations that Moretti rejected become my signature pieces that move with women through their complicated days. When the first sales reports arrived from Callaway's, I read them 3 times to confirm. Sold out. First week. Reorders pouring in. Fashion bloggers begin writing about the working woman's revolution. About clothes designed by someone who understands what professional women actually need. I hired Daniela and Lena, 2 talented designers turned away by major houses for being too practical in their approach. Their eyes widen when they see the rented office space as small but legitimately ours, with Clara Moretti designs etched on the door. Welcome, I tell them, handing over their key cards, to a place where women build for women. As we toast with cheap champagne and paper cups, I remember Marco's mocking phone call. Playing dress up, he called it. But he was wrong. This isn't play. This is revolution, one stitch at a time. The television flickers in my otherwise dark office, casting blue shadows across the polished concrete floors. On screen, my father squints against camera lights, his once commanding posture diminished beneath an expensive suit that hangs slightly loose at the shoulders. Market volatility has affected luxury brands across the board. He insists to the business reporter, who doesn't bother hiding her skepticism. Moretti remains positioned for recovery by fourth quarter. I mute the sound but can't look away. 3 years since I walked out of his boardroom, and now Giuseppe Moretti looks every one of his 72 years. The ticker scrolling beneath him tells the real story. Moretti shares down 43% this quarter, major restructuring expected. My phone buzzes with a text from Elaine. Are you watching this train wreck? I don't respond. Something complicated twists in my chest watching my father's performance, quite satisfaction, not quite sorrow. The news cuts to file footage of Marco outside corporate headquarters last week, blaming unprecedented retail challenges while straightening his tie with manicured fingers. His youth line with the soul, stripped out fills the background montage. Racks of garments with slashed price tags, empty store displays where mannequins wear expressions more animated than the clothes. Sophia appears in my doorway, 14 now, with her grandmother's perceptive eyes. Is that Grandpa? Yes. I don't elaborate, don't poison her with the history. She knows enough. He looks old, she observes, leaning against the door frame. The reporter returns with industry analysts predicting bankruptcy proceedings within months, luxury conglomerate vultures already circling. I switch off the television. Work stuff? Sophia asks. I nod, smiling at my daughter. Nothing important. When the first major department store canceled their Moretti Youth Line orders 3 months ago, I felt the industry ripples. When Marco's hasty redesign flopped at Milan Fashion Week, whispers reached me through fabric suppliers and former colleagues. But watching the actual collapse unfold carries no sweetness. The empire my grandfather built, that my father expanded, that I once thought would be my legacy reduced to cautionary business school case studies. My showroom buzzes with energy these days. 28 employees, distribution in 14 states, features in every major women's magazine. We've outgrown 2 office spaces already. Success tastes better than revenge. Which is why when my receptionist calls to say Giuseppe Moretti is in our lobby without an appointment, something in me goes very still. Tell him I'm in a meeting, I say automatically. But Sophia, still in the doorway, raises an eyebrow. You always told us to face problems directly. My daughter, teaching me my own lessons. Send him back. I tell the receptionist, then turn to Sophia. Would you ask Isabella to come in here, please? By the time my father appears in my doorway, both my daughters flank my desk like sentinels. 3 generations of Moretti women, though only one bears the burden of the name professionally. Giuseppe stops short seeing the girls. Something flickers in his eyes, surprise, perhaps regret. The tailored suit can't disguise how time and stress have consumed him. The commanding presence that once filled boardrooms has contracted to the essentials. An old man with tired eyes. Clara, he says, the accent of his native Italy thickening as it always does under strain. Papa. The word feels strange in my mouth after so long. He glances at my daughters, hesitating. They stay, I say quietly. Whatever you have to say can be said in front of them. He nods once, shifts his weight. I need your help. The room falls silent except for the hum of air conditioning and distant office voices. My daughters remain perfectly still beside me, witnesses to this moment I never imagined would come. The company is in trouble. He spreads his hands, a gesture of uncharacteristic vulnerability. The board meeting yesterday, it was not good. The shareholders, they want answers I don't have. I'm aware of the situation. My voice remains steady. You could save it. His eyes hold mine. Your designs, your vision, it's what we lost when you left. Come back, take over the youth division completely. No interference. When I don't immediately respond, he adds, you'll inherit it all eventually anyway. Why let it collapse before then? My daughters shift beside me, and I place one hand on Isabella's shoulder, drawing strength from her warmth. Water, Papa? I gesture toward the carafe on my credenza. He nods, and I pour a glass, watching the liquid catch light from the windows that showcase the Miami skyline. I hand it to him, our fingers briefly touching the first physical contact in years. I study him as he drinks. This man who shaped me through both gifts and wounds. This man who dismissed my gender as a business liability. This man who now needs what he once discarded. The power to refuse him settles in my hands, tangible as fabric, as satisfying as I once imagined it would be. And yet, no, Papa. My voice gentle but firm. I won't come back, but I have a different solution. Confusion crosses his face. What solution? I open my desk drawer and withdraw a portfolio, placing it before him. Moretti Home Collections. Kitchenware, linens, decorative items designed with the same eye for elegance and function that built our fashion reputation. He frowns, not understanding. You want to license our name? I want to extend it. A separate division under my direction. New markets, new customers, but connected to the legacy. This isn't about destroying you, I continue as he flips through the concept sketches. It's about creating something new beside you, not beneath you. Giuseppe looks up, his expression unreadable. I don't understand. You could take everything now. I smile, feeling my daughter's presence like pillars beside me. That's exactly why I won't. Sunlight streams across my kitchen counter, catching the copper accents of my newest creation, a sauté pan, with subtle curves that fit a woman's hand perfectly. I run my fingers along the handle, feeling the balance. 5 months since launch, and my kitchenware line has surpassed even my most ambitious projections. The waiting list grows daily. Mom, the Times wants another interview. Sophia places my ringing phone on the counter, then returns to her homework. At 14, she's already developing my eye for color, though her sketches lean toward architecture rather than fashion. Tell them I'm creating. I wink at her. She knows the routine. Isabella slides into the kitchen in sock feet, her dark curls bouncing. The truck is here with more boxes. My company has outgrown the spare bedroom, then the garage, and now occupies a renovated warehouse in downtown Miami. 30 woman designers, marketers, accountants all building, something that bears no shadow of my father's name, just mine. Clara Moretti Design stands alone, my vision unfiltered. Will Julian be here for dinner? Isabella asks, her 11-year-old face brightening at his name. Julian. The thought of him brings unexpected warmth. We met 3 months ago at my neighborhood book club, the one activity I permit myself outside work and motherhood. He asked thoughtful questions about Marquez's magical realism, not my business success or family connections. His eyes warm brown with flecks of gold saw me, not my labels or legacy. 6 o'clock, I answer, watching Isabella's smile widen. My daughters approved it before I allowed myself to. The doorbell rings. Isabella races to answer while Sophia pretends teenage indifference. I see her smoothing her hair, straightening her posture. Julian brings books for both girls, never forgetting their different tastes. My phone buzzes again. Not pressed this timey financial advisor. The quarterly report on my most private investment. No one knows I've been buying shares in Moretti Luxury Fashions through a holding company. Not even Julian. The company my father built has been floundering since I left, but my anonymous guidance through intermediaries has stopped the bleeding. 3 consecutive quarters of stability. Why did I save them? The question haunts my quietest moments. Not for revenge, not even for eventual control. Perhaps for the frightened young designer who once believed her father hung the moon. You. My father's voice cracks as he stares at the financial documents spread across my dining table. His silver hair catches the chandelier light, making him look older, frailer than his 68 years. Julian has taken the girls for ice cream, giving us privacy. The family dinner where I finally revealed the truth wasn't in my 5-year plan, but Sophia's slip about Grandpa's company doing better forced my hand. You saved us. Giuseppe's hands tremble on the paper showing my substantial ownership. All this time while I thought, well, you thought I was focused on destroying you. I pour him sparkling water, no ice. The way he's always preferred it. His eyes me eyes, in an older face filled with unfamiliar moisture. Clara, I don't deserve. This isn't about deserving, Papa. I sit across from him, our knees almost touching. It's about choosing who I want to be. He reaches for my hand, hesitates, then completes the motion. His callous palm covers mine for the first time in years. We sit in silence, the clock ticking softly on the wall, measuring the space between what was and what might be. Thank you, he whispers finally, his voice raw, then softer still. And I love you. Words I never thought I'd hear from Giuseppe Moretti's lips. I don't reply. Some wounds take more than words to heal. Outside, car doors slam. The girls' laughter drifts through the window, Julian's deeper voice joining theirs. My family both chosen and blood coming together under my roof, on my terms.